Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Pretty Ricky Wilde live and in living Technicolor. But more importantly, you have tuned in to the tip top of podcasting. You have tuned in to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. Enjoy the show.
This episode of Count It Out with Mike and Tyler is provided by Cottage Springs.
To Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to another edition of the Bill After Sealed of Approved, provided by Cottage Springs. Man, this entrance is getting longer every week. Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and I am not joined by Mike. Oh no, Mike is not here. And Mike, your presence is so missed this week that we had to bring in two people to help fill your ginormous, amazing shoes, Mike. It's the only time I'm ever going to put you over. We've got, of course, two great friends of the show. We'll start off with the one and only, I don't know if he's retired, if he's at a leave of absence, the stand-up comedian, jack of all trades, Mr. Holden Albright is back on the show. Holden, what's going on, my man?
Not a lot is not going on. I've had that realization, and I talked to someone yesterday, a close buddy of mine, who said very much the similar thing to you, but also added on, I don't think he knows what he's even doing right now, which is 100% true, and I'm not jacking off. So, well, jack of all trades, I'm okay with that.
There you go. And of course, we are also joined by the man, the reason why I have no voice for 3 days after every Barrie Wrestling show, the high-octane barn burner, Van Landon. I'm not doing the big one because I just got my voice back.
Exactly. We got to preserve it for June 8th. Don't worry, Tyler. That is suffice.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm stoked to be back.
What's happening June 8th?
Yeah, tell the world.
Oh, you want to know what's happening June 8th? June 8th? I can tell you what's happening June 8th. Well, fans of Barrie Wrestling, fans of Count It Out with Mike and Tyler, fans of Van Landon and Holden Albright. You may know Barrie Wrestling. Well, on June 8th, we are going back to the FLCC Arena for Gold and Glory. A big show every year for Barrie Wrestling, and it's a big show for your boy Van Landon. Your boy VL is finally getting his hands on the Evil V, Von Vertigo, Vision, and the Three Pistols Championship will be on the line. So get this. This guy kicked me in the face months ago when we were a team. He brings in his little painter friend. They run ruckus over Barrie Wrestling, specifically targeting and tormenting me. Albright, I know you're semi-retired. I know you have IWTV, so I know you've been checking it out. Thank you. I know you haven't been there to necessarily have my back, but oh well. Don't worry about it because it all boils over June 8th. Because finally, even though V Guy is flying all over the world, doing big things, he's forgetting about his one thing that should matter most to him, and that's a Three Pistols title. So I'm going to restore the true Vision and get that title back, defend it in Barrie, and not be a little runaway champion that he has been. So everyone should go out of their way now. Message, contact Barrie Wrestling, reserve your tickets. These shows continue to sell out, and Golden Glory, it's going to be a big one for me. There's some other big matches that are announced if you watch the show. And yeah, it's going to be a big show.
Yeah, no outside interference either. So you got your clean shot there. That's something I'm excited for that match too, and especially for you and where you are in your career, Von Vertigo, he's one of the, I would say, is one of the, quote unquote pillars of the Ontario indie scene. If you want to put a label, like, on the big wrestling terms there.
I will say he's bigger than Ontario, but definitely a pillar of Barrie Wrestling.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. He's fantastic. And yeah, he's in the first match in Barrie Wrestling. Like there's a lot of history with him there. But if you just look at his body of work in general, he's world traveled. Like he's the guy that you look at and he makes the whole scene proud. He carries himself well. He's always been nice and respectful to, in the backstage areas, not so much in the ring lately. But how is it for you, getting to get in there one on one with a guy that's that decorated? Like, what is that? Is that a lot of pressure on you?
I mean, I would be lying if I said it wasn't a lot of pressure because I know it is. And going into a big singles one-on-one title match with no outside interference, I'm necessarily putting all my chips on the table here with this one. And you're absolutely right. Von Vertigo is world traveled. And not to mention, he's been wrestling longer than I have just in general. So he has the experience factor. And going into this match, I mean, on paper, the betting odds would have me as the underdog. And so that puts a pressure on me. I know going into this fight that, well, I know what to prepare myself for. Von Vertigo is out there. His stuff is easy to find. It's easy to consume. I can scout his talent. For Van Landon, he knows what I'm capable of in a Barrie Wrestling ring, but is he ready for it? Is he going to be prepared for it? We're in the middle of May. I have a few weeks to prepare for this, to get my focus, to, get over these nerves that I may be having and focus this attention on winning this title. It's something that I would love to do to help restore the vision for Barrie, the true vision, and be a fighting champion in Barrie. But at the same time, I mean, I know I'm not going up against just somebody weak. I know what he's capable of. And yeah, there's
But
a lot
also, I will put over the fact that you're grinding too. You got shows coming up too. You're not just thinking of strategies, you're testing them out on the weekends all over Ontario right now.
You're absolutely right. Outside of Barrie Wrestling, Van Landon is traveling. He is making towns elsewhere, wrestling for a lot of other promotions. Talk about NSW, PWO, HPW, GCW. We're talking them all. And so there's places that I go and, I face challenges that maybe I haven't had thrown my way in Barrie ever before. So these Barrie fans have not seen my full potential in a sense. When I come on June 8th to the ring, that's going to be full potential on display. I'm going to leave everything I have in the ring. And if I lose, I know the measuring stick. If I win, then I know that I'm proving what I've known all along, and that I am, pardon the pun, but top tier in the sense.
Well, he's coming on June 8th.
Yeah.
He's brought to you by Blue Chew. But I will say, like, from someone that, hey, you're talking about showing your full potential. It'll just help with that.
Yeah,
but
I'm trying.
I will say, it's not, you listed off a bunch of initials. That doesn't mean shit.
No.
What I love when I'm looking at my friend Van is Lindsay, Ontario, Orangeville, St. Catharines, Hamilton, Aurelia, Barrie. I think the wrestler gets made on the drives because you're driving 45, an hour and a half, however long it is. You're doing that twice. And one of those times you just wrestled. And when you're in the mindset of driving back and you're in those doubts, it's fucking late at night. Sorry about swearing. It's late at night. And you're like, why am I doing this? I have to go to work in the morning. I'm sore. I'm bruised. I don't even know what's wrong in my left shoulder. I just know there's a weird throbbing that's happening. And then you do it again the next weekend. And you do it again the next day. And that's what tests you more than what's in the ring. And especially you started with not when I win. You started with if I lose, I know what the measuring stick is, which means you're preparing for another attempt where it's not a defeatist mentality. It is, you can't just anticipate to win, because that's when people go crazy, when they don't win and that's all they know. I just saw a privileged child be arrested by cops on a body cam video. I love these body cam videos where people are like, I don't want to go to jail, I don't want to be arrested. That's the point. If you wanted to go to jail or you wanted to be arrested, it wouldn't be jail and arrested. And Van doesn't want to lose, but he knows that's a reality. But that's just going to make him hungrier, as opposed to blame everyone else around him.
Yeah, I got nobody else to blame if I lose than myself. I have to put in the work in the gym. I have to put in the work in training. I have to put in the effort inside the squared circle. And you said it, Tyler, there's no outside interference. I can't blame Rajan Husher, the artist, distracting me, pulling me out of the ring, distracting the ref. None of that is playing the factor. It's up to me and my ability. And that's why I say on June 8th, I'm going to leave it all out there.
Well, you've got two pieces of good. I'm going to put two pieces of good, like, karma your way. All right. June 8th is the day before my 40th birthday.
Oh, okay.
Three Pistols Championship, Tragically Hip are my favorite band. So I'm going to put both of those your way and wish you all the best of luck, man.
No. Screw that. Because I heard you say that at the last Barrie show that I hung out. Your birthday's not the next day. Your birthday is 5 hours after this man's fight.
5 hours after
that
the
is
show.
The same night. And I will say, me and Van are friends of Tyler because we have gotten drunk at his house. We've seen his dog. We've seen his cat. We've seen his fiance.
Correct.
Cottage Springs,
we saw his dog try to hump Mike.
No, I will correct you. My dog did hump Mike. Max the dog getting it done. Let me tell you, we don't mess around in this house.
Max don't need Blue Chew.
Van, you mentioned Cottage Springs. And yes. I think that might be a great segue for the Cottage Springs Punch Out of the Week.
Punch Out!
And now, the Cottage Springs Punch Out of the Week. Find your favorite flavors at cottagesprings.ca. Got to thank our good friends at Cottage Springs, as always, for providing you with this episode of Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. Now, before we get into what my moment of the week is, let's talk a little Cottage Springs. Now, Van, I know you're a big Cottage Springs fan.
I'm a big Cottage Springs fan. I got some in the fridge right now. I could go grab some. And to be honest, I'm pretty parched, so I might.
Well, if you go grab one, I'll throw the question to Holden then.
There I want to know,
Holden, are you a big fan of Cottage Springs? Have you had to try any of their beverages?
I do not believe so, because every time you mention it, I think you're going to say cottage cheese. So,
well, let me give you some recommendations to get you in the right direction, because, I'm a big believer, like, if I'm going to promote something or if I'm going to work with a company, that I need to enjoy the product. I'm not just a shill. I won't just be like, hey, whatever. Cottage Springs is something that Mike and I have drank on this show for years.
I've had Cottage Springs before, actually.
Yeah, okay. I recommend, if you have not tried it, the strawberry kiwi water is phenomenal. And the brand new Springers are incredible as well. They're like these little mini cans, and you put 2 or 3 of them back and they put you where you want to go pretty quick. This week I've got the Blackberry Lemon. It's their new punched up there, 7% in the can, and it's quite tasty. So that is my Cottage Spring recommendations for you, my friend, for this summer coming up.
I have had the watermelon one before, but in honor of this, if Van Landon wins on June 8th, I will drink and promote a different Cottage Spring every day for a week to celebrate Van Landon's victory.
We will collaborate on that. I will put that on our Count It Out page as well. I will promote that.
So it's all in Van's court. He needs to win.
Well, you better win, Van, because we got a lot of people banking on you now. So yeah, that's my Cottage Spring recommendations, June 8th. But I'm gonna get in. Oh, there he is. Oh, I hope your cardio is better for Von Vertigo with you running there, gassing out like that.
I had to carry this on my back.
Oh, the whole box.
Yeah.
Raspberry lime.
Well, in case I needed a top up, this is the Van Landon seal of approval. You got Bill Apters on this podcast. You got Van Landon's on vodka, water, raspberry live from Cottage Springs. Cheers, my friends.
You see, you're doing it the real counted out way. You just got the refill at hand. The amount of times that I've just had a bottle of, Crown Royal or cans of Cottage Springs beside me and just get the old top up off camera there. That's. But let's get into my moment here. Cottage Springs Punch Out of the week. And for me, this was really, really cool to see. We're going to talk about the new Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington, making his AEW debut against Dax Hardwood. Have you guys had a chance to see any of this match at all before I kind of talk about it a little bit?
I have not caught up on this weekend's programming, so I will, like the audience, I would love to hear your guys' perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Van, you saw a great match, eh?
I loved it. I saw the new Dynamite Kid, as you put it, Tommy Billington. And what a just downright old school wrestling match. I think there was something very cool and nostalgic about seeing especially young Dynamite there with a facial resemblance so alike to the original Dynamite. Throwing down in Canada against a technician like Dax the Axe, I thought was incredible.
You hit the nail right on the head, man. You put a picture of young Dynamite Kid and young Tommy Billington beside each other, and I would tell you they're twins. And this match gave me some old school Stampede wrestling vibes to it. It was hard hitting, but even before the match started, just hearing that old British Bulldog music play over the speaker system and having him walk out, that was cool, man. That was really cool. But then they start out great mat wrestling, which they did that thing where I think Dax was working a hammerlock and like Tommy would like reverse him and then they would roll, but Dax still had the hammer. I love those spots. Like I always love when they do it with headlocks, but to see it evolve with a hammerlock, which is so much more talented than I've seen that spot, those sequences done before, which I thought was awesome. And then, the match builds and the chops are getting harder. And, Dax kind of takes over and Tommy's got a bloody lip. And they did all these throwback spots to members of the Hart family, which I thought were super cool. Like they did the old dive crossbody where they both flip backwards over the top rope, which him and Brett used to do back in the day in Stampede. He did the Owen Hart jump and hook under the arms, like back roll pin, which they mentioned on commentary, which I thought was cool. And then he pulled out the Dynamite Kid repertoire. He did that running clothesline where he comes down, did the snap suplex, his evolution of the diving headbutt, which is like a diving, it looks like he's going to headbutt, and then he hits him with an elbow at the last second. Just
CTE proof.
That's it. And smart. And look at he evolved, right? Because that was a big thing with Dynamite and Benoit, who patterned after Dynamite, and Davey. Like all these guys had those brain injuries, right? So it's nice to see, hey, we learned something from a prior generation, but we're still rugged. We're still hitting it. And then to tap it all off, I thought the finish was so good. So I think maybe Nigel jumped on a little too early. He should let it breathe a little bit, where Tommy jumped up on the shoulders a la Brett and Owen at WrestleMania 10. But Nigel called it out right away. He's like, "This is how he beat Brett at WrestleMania." And then Dax countered it into a slingshot powerbomb, smooth transition. And then Dax puts over Tommy big time. Not only did he give him a lot in that match for a unsigned AEW talent, but Dax gave him the ring after. They all fist bumped him, gave him the ring, standing ovation. I really hope that this isn't the last that we see of Tommy Billington inside of an AEW ring.
I just saw he posted on his Instagram story that he was watching the match back with Brett.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's super cool. And Brett's a big FTR guy, and FTR loved Brett. When we went to AEW there, and Dax was in the ring, and he was wearing the pink gear, and we shot him out. We're like, love the Brett gear, because we were in the front row, and he just looked down at us. He was like, I'm just a mark, brother. I'm just a mark. Like, awesome moment. And for those reasons and those reasons alone, that is why it is the Cottage Springs Punch Out of the week. Where's the camera? Will not focus. Well, I'm going to drink it anyways.
You just got to put it in front of your chest. It's a green screen aspect. Keep it in front. Yeah, that's the trick.
There we go. There we go.
Cottage Springs bonus moment, because me and Van were talking about it. Mystery Wrestling 7 or 8, I believe, whatever happened this past weekend. Alexia Nicole versus Cecil Nix.
Yes.
Look up the table spot. That's all I gotta put, and you can make that a little short
Shout out
also.
Cecil Nix. You're the
Cecil's,
best.
he's amazing. I love his gimmick of carrying people like babies. This is people I wrestle holding like babies or something like that. I just
He
think
made a
it's great.
calendar out of it.
Did he really?
Yeah, and he's low-key super strong. Like in the photo I took with him, like I wasn't fat Albright, but I was thick Albright, and I'm wearing like my sweat shorts that were always like too high up on my thighs. I look like a giant in there, and he still carries. He is Cecil Nix is very underappreciated. I won't say underrated. It is under goddamn appreciated. Plus, I'm a big fan of the roadblock that he does.
These clips that you mentioned, though, because that's the second time that he did a spot like that. Because he did it.
It's the evolution. Mystery Wrestling's telling storylines now.
But the way that he bounced off the table, oh my god,
dude!
Like, I was dying laughing.
It couldn't have been better. It couldn't have been better.
Yeah, Mystery Wrestling. That's a fun thing that they're doing over there. Like, it's just what I like about it too. It's different. Like they're just having fun, and it shows that they're having fun.
So I was watching it with a friend. We were talking on the phone, and I brought up to her the reason why Mystery Wrestling works is it's not making fun of wrestling, but it's having fun aspects with wrestling. Yeah, me and Van, he was marking out about Silver Potato of like, yeah, a big kaiju battle is kind of very its own little universe. But that homie was pulling out some crazy stuff. And then you also have Mayu versus Jordan Grace in the main event, and that there's no gimmicks to it, as opposed to the only gimmick is these are two really good women wrestlers that are going to beat the hell out of each other.
This
and
is
it was
be a
awesome.
good match. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
To me, the best wrestling shows are the variety shows. And, I'll throw it all the way back to original ECW. Like, everybody in the original ECW, like, oh, shit, it's just barbed wire, it's trash, it's garbage wrestling. Yeah, okay, you had your New Jack matches, and then the next match would be Eddie Guerrero against Dean Malenko, 2 out of 3 falls. You know what I mean? And then you'd have Shane Douglas cut a promo. Then you'd have Sabu do things that you've never seen before. Then you'd have the Sandman doing whatever the hell it is that the Sandman does that's so awesome. Like, then you'd have Taz, the UFC fighter. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what I like that Mystery Wrestling does. For every Jordan Grace match that you have a Cecil Nix table spot. You have a Psycho Mike being Psycho Mike, like.
But those are where it spots, and the whole match is not making fun of wrestling. It's not, oh yeah, wrestling's ridiculous, which I think too many people shit on wrestling. And as a wrestler, you should be defending it more. And it's not, is wrestling fake? It's not fake, but it's predetermined. I win the championship, I'm a goddamn employee of the month. I'm not actually the toughest motherfucker here. Sorry, I came off another long interview yesterday.
Yeah, plug it, man. Plug it. I don't mind. I respect the guys that you did the interview with. So.
Live audio wrestling. Brady had a little chat. Tid has a show where he'll talk to more established people. Brady's going to have a show where he's talking to more younger guys, and he thought he was going to be 5 minutes, but it's me, so it became 45 minutes. And we just had a great chat because I don't know what I'm doing right now, and I'm finding myself. I'm not finding myself. I'm finding my center. I've noticed that there was a lot of, and I don't mind talking about this because I think this will click with some people and some people won't even understand. But it's not like, oh, I was sad or I was depressed. I noticed that there was fogginess in what was going on in my life, and I was going through the motions. And instead of just going with it, of if I was in college or university, just barely passing my classes, if not just failing, as opposed to keep going to the classes, or do I drop out for the semester and try to figure out, is this what I want to do? And we had a great conversation. Brady's a great dude that's always been there as a little guiding force for me to either tell me, you're not as dumb as this person. This is what this person did 10 years ago. You're doing good. And I also learn from other people's mistakes and such. And he was always there, like not every day, but every other year. And it wasn't until that conversation that like I quoted him of stuff that I still have with me now. And he told me some stuff in there that really like helped me, because it's so easy to just shit on everyone that screwed you over. At the end of the day, you allowed yourself to be screwed over. For every positive moment in your life and every negative moment, the common factor is you. So do I just go off? It's like, no, the people that have actually screwed me over, I don't need to publicly tell everyone because too many people want to care about the dirt but don't care about the victim. And then the other half is I just won't mention them. And I think that speaks more volumes of when you're naming all these people. It's like, well, why didn't you name this person? Should I have? And it's having that. So go check out that podcast. But yeah, Mystery Wrestling, super fun. They also have their Patreon and they are telling stories now. There's a storyline with the referees. It was my first live full Mystery Wrestling show, and it was very enjoyable.
And shout out to Brady too. I love Brady. He's a great guy. I've only had the pleasure to meet him a couple of times. Couldn't say enough great things about him though. Him and I actually did commentary together for the Arthur Memorial Show for your father.
That's where Van also saw him.
Yeah, that's the first time I met him and never talked to him. Maybe a hello before, and we sat down and we had a blast. So big shout out to Brady. Love seeing live audio wrestling back. And of course, like, what can you say about Tid? The guy's a legend, man. Like, he was one of the guys that like got me into the original like independent scene for me. Like, I was a big fan of back in the day, like Jack Damage and Tornado and some other people that are not the greatest people anymore, but they were back then. And
did you know I wrestled Jack Damage like 4 years ago?
No, you did not. Wait, hold on. 4 years ago?
Like 2019.
Come on.
2019, 2018.
Okay, so there is one specific, maybe two, but I know there's one specific person that's listening to this right now. It's our good friend Wilson. Big Jack.
Wilson!
Big Jack Damage.
No Instagram profile photo.
Wilson. No. There's
every
probably
time I see my story views, it's a blank profile.
He stands out. But Wilson and I we were big Jack Damage marks. We used to type on the forums and he'd talk to us. We ran into him at Upper Canada Mall in Newmarket one time when we were in high school. It was the coolest thing on the planet. Please tell us, how the fuck did you wrestle Jack Damage 4 years ago?
So I wrestled in North Bay. Originally, it was supposed to be a tag match, but Wheeler at the time and my partner couldn't make the show, so we added someone for the show to be included in the Riot Makers, which was a faction I was involved in before. And that dude bailed even after we made the promo. But then it just became me versus Jack Damage, and like I tried to do research on him, and I don't like look up most people because I'm like, I'll get there. But like I knew something was up when like the only match on YouTube with Jack Damage versus Jimmy Snuka from like 2001. And I was like, okay. And then I wrestled him. Great dude. Do you have him on Facebook?
I don't. I wish I did.
Dude, I'll send you his stuff. He's like a contractor. Like, I'm collecting all of these people that have like real man jobs, and they'll like talk about putting their deck together and such like that. Like, what's great too is like when there's a carpenter asking for like concrete work and like they're talking about like offering that job instead of like, oh, I could do it myself. And it's like, I'll pay fair wage. Like, he's a great dude. He got a great wife. Like, he's in great shape still. Super happy. He looks like a mayor, basically.
Yeah, that's the vibes I get. Like, what's like Street Fighter mayor? You know what I mean? Like the big, like jacked as shit. Like
barrel chested doesn't get properly remembered enough, and he is barrel chested and super nice. Like I picture him with a smile on his face.
Like I have pictures of myself, him, and Eric Showtime at the time, Eric Young, in Sharon Arena eating hot dogs together, because I'm sure that's what they got paid for the show at that point, because there was not a lot of people there. But yeah, like, and it was cool and Tornado was there as well, and I had a cool moment with Tornado a couple years ago. He came to Barrie for Tid's last match, the tag match, and I had pictures. Oh, there he is. Look at that,
super happy, tan.
Unreal. Good for him. But I had all these pictures of Tornado like doing dark matches on Monday Night Raw, and I had the original Tornado t-shirt that he had cut like Scott Hall, and I showed him all this stuff, and he asked if we could take pictures of the pictures, and I was like, dude, just take them. These are your memories, man. Like, have this. Like, so yeah.
Dude, his last Facebook post is, does anyone on the island have some large rocks they want removed? Looking for someone around 2 to 3 feet. Let me know and I can remove and repurpose them. Thanks. Anyone have a number for Bud Spuds on the island? Like, he's just a dude. He's awesome.
We loved him, and we loved this other guy. His working name, I don't know his shoot name, but his working name was JQ Public. And he
That sounds like a website that you would have to use to find
Yes.
Drake and his associates.
So there's two funny stories about him. Wilson, again, it all ties back to Wilson. This is the Wilson episode. Wilson used to
Has
love.
Wilson been on the podcast?
He has. We actually, yes, we taped one episode with Wilson, myself, and Mike when we were driving to Crossbody when they brought Fulton in, and we never aired the episode because it was awful. Well, it wasn't awful. We just never got around to airing it. But like Wilson almost killed us. He was driving, and like, you ever see that like WWE show where Liv Morgan like goes across like 4 lanes of traffic?
Yep.
We lived that moment on recording with Wilson. So. But JQ Public,
is there the Counted Out Patreon yet?
No, I don't have it. I just don't have the time to put in to make it worth. Like, if people are going to invest in us, like I want to make it good, and I just don't have the time to make it to the standards that I would want to have it at.
Remind me about the Patreon chat afterwards. We're gonna have a little conversation off air that solves 2 problems you had there.
Okay, cool. I will tell my JQ Public story quickly.
Yes.
Wilson was a big fan, as we all were, of Sue Johansson. The Sunday Night Sex Show with Sue Johansson. and JQ Public was on there as one of the models one time. So Wilson was popping at that. Yeah, he's just
wait, is JQ male or female?
Male.
Okay.
And then fast forward like maybe a year and maybe like less than a year ago, I was just scrolling on Facebook and Ben Ortman's had a picture of himself in JQ Public, and he was like, "This is one of the guys that broke me in." And I was like, "Okay, this is like it's too many worlds colliding for me right now." So that was our early 2000s independence, and then I fell off the wagon until we started Counted Out. And I'm glad I'm back on the wagon because, man, like we're blessed right now to be wrestling fans in Ontario and North America and wrestling in general. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. But yeah, we got back into. Well, I got back into the independent scene because of Mike. Mike was always a big independent guy, and then we started the podcast and we hooked up with Barrie Wrestling for the All Ontario Cup. And I was like, I need to learn like what's going on here if we're going to sponsor this thing. Which Sean Gibson, you still owe me a poster for, by the way. Just gonna put that out there, all right? Gonna put that out there. Sean Gibson, he had the best line ever on this show. Mike and I have a running debate where we talk about who we think the greatest horseman of all time is. And I think it's Arn Anderson. And he thinks that it's Tully Blanchard. Or he thinks Tully's above Arn. I think Mike thinks Flair is number 1 and then Tully's above Arn. And we were talking about it, and myself and Sean are big Arn Anderson guys. And Sean goes, "Well, let me ask you this question. Did Arn Anderson ever get replaced by Paul Roma?" It's not to knock you, Paul Roma, but I mean, so I'll give that's the only shout out I'll give Sean Gibson today.
Did Arn Anderson cost his tag partner a bunch of money because he failed a drug test?
Yeah, exactly. Take that, Mike. Take that.
It was a shot at Tully, for the record. It was a shot at Tully.
I'm going to take it as a shot at Mike, so take that, Mike. I put you over at the beginning of the show. I'm taking you down now. Let me shift gears. We're going to talk about wrestling memorabilia in a little bit here because that's something we're all excited about. But I want to put over some people because I'm in a good mood today, and I just feel like we need to show some love. I'm talking to 2 of my favorite people in the world right now. So can we talk about how good Brad is as a referee? Because he's phenomenal. The little things that he does, and just like even helping me like do these little things. And can we just put over Brad Myers for a little bit and just like I just think he's awesome. He's just such a good referee. He's a great guy, and he's just like your show is better for having Brad on it. I truly do believe that.
Absolutely, 10,000%. Brad is one of my favorite referees to have. I love so many of you, but Brad, whenever I have him, I am always thrilled. I know my safety is in good hands. There's not many people that will
check on you instead of just reacting when they think you broke your neck.
And so
I will tell a short story that someone once in one of my matches thought I died off something because it's me. And they're like, "Oh my God, I thought you broke your neck." And I was like, "I didn't. What? Wait, why the fuck didn't you check on me then?"
Yeah.
But Brad adds a stamp of approval of like a seal of quality. If you see Brad there, because I will put over that Brad is not responsible for the origin, but chances are if Brad's on your show, you have some sort of communication device between the back and in the ring.
Mm-hmm. Even with me too, like he'll just mention little things to me that like maybe nobody has clued me in on that I should be announcing as a ring announcer, or like they may have changed something, and he'll just do the Brad walk by, hey, this. Oh, okay, cool, thanks, man. I didn't know that. Like
all my matches with Brad as my ref starts with me and him talking shit when I'm wearing the wolf mask.
This weekend I took a knee to the face off of a moonsault. It was real nasty. And Brad was right there to make sure I was okay. Thank you so much. You good, bud? Brad.
Yep. Okay.
I had when Rajan Husher first started coming to Barrie, I had a fun moment with Brad where every time Rajan would come to the ring, I would look at him and go, "Do you think he would paint me in the nude?" And Brad's just like, "What are you talking about?"
When I wrestled Corey Stone in our hardcore match, because I'll plug IWTV for Barrie Wrestling, you can go find it. There's a point that Corey Stone has the chain and he throws it. And on the video, you see Brad hop on one foot. In the ring, you hear Brad go, "That was my foot."
Is this the hardcore match where we brought the table with our spot?
Yes, and I wasn't in the building until the show basically started, so Corey because what did Corey tell you again?
Corey and Sean both said, "Wait till Holden gets here. He'll tell you guys what to do with the table."
And Holden, I never did.
And Holden never got there. Yeah. Corey made me laugh too because I'll pull the curtain back a little bit. We were talking like before the whatever, and he was like, I'm like, "Corey, if you want, like, you can throw everything off our table. Like, we have nothing valuable on there. Like, whatever's gonna help you guys like make this great." And he's like, "Maybe I'll push one of you guys." And I was like, "Sure." I'm like, "Do you want to push Mike because he's bigger than I am, and it'll probably look better, and I'll just chicken shit away." And he's like, "Nah, he's wearing glasses. I think I want to push you."
Corey Stone, another great dude.
Yeah, the Sandman there, right?
Love Corey Stone, the most serious man in HPW.
Did you guys watch the Sandman documentary, the Sandman Dark Side?
I've got about 10 minutes left in it.
Did you hear him break down the Metallica entrance?
Yeah, where he was with Missy Hyatt in the strip club or something.
Yeah, but then he breaks down the psychology between how he makes that entrance of doesn't want a spotlight. Some fans will hear him over here, so they'll start looking, and he'll be on the other side, and they'll start looking there. So the fans are trying to find him. So by the time that he has the center of attention, he's 8 beers deep. Yeah. Also, I love the one little clip where it's like, "How old are you?" 23. Okay, because that is the most professional wrestling thing of we are doing something shady but consensual.
Absolutely. I don't know what else I want to talk about. I want to talk about maybe let's talk about Fuerza a little bit.
Oh, the best unsigned wrestler in Ontario.
I agree 100%.
Yes.
I'm like
Gabriel Fuerza is my favorite wrestler.
I think that's hard to argue, right? Like,
me as well.
I'm talking about like wrestling almost in general right now too. Like that guy, and he's so nice. Like again, that's what goes a long way with me too. It's like when I used to be a single man, now I'm happily engaged. I can't wait to get married at the end of the year. Let's go Punta Cana, right? But when I was a single man, I would always say, I don't care if you're the best looking person on the planet. If you're not a nice person, I don't like you. And that's kind of how I attribute kind of my life now. Like Fuerza, I think, is one of the best wrestlers on the planet. But if he was an asshole, I wouldn't like him because like I just can't. But he's so nice, and he's been very helpful again to me.
You get to be full on happy for him.
Exactly.
He's a great person.
Exactly, right? When something good happens to him, like getting to work Sheldon Benjamin coming up, I get so pumped up for him, and just watching him in Barrie, and same with Alexia too. Getting to watch her in Barrie, like I said this to the live crowd after Alexia's match, and it just we're really lucky to get to watch her every month, and we're really lucky to get to watch Fuerza and yourself, Van, and then when you were there, Holden, like it's just such a great energy and great atmosphere up there, and 10-year show coming up this time, like. What is some of Holden? Let's go with this one because you've been around Barrie a lot longer. if you had to do like a Barrie Wrestling, not even like a Mount Rushmore, but like, just some of the key players over the year as we come up to 10 years, who jumps out at you as some of the most important people in Barrie?
I think it like just straight up, it would be Fuerza and Vertigo. Especially like I know that I'm sure they both have held the heavyweight title, but I can't think of any main event programs they had with the heavyweight title. But they've had so many good stories. Vertigo right now with Van, but there's Fuerza and Reverso had a great story. There's all these little things, and especially Vaughn being a bridge for other talent from other areas to be coming in and such like that. Like I go, those two are my top two. I would put like the Buffalo Boys as a collective in there, but I will specifically say like Barrie's an interesting place because so many people are regulars there because they want to be there. They don't need to be guilted into, they don't have an empty schedule. They want to be there because pulling the curtain, you will take less money to work for a place you want to work as opposed to take more money for somewhere you don't want to work. And I will put as it's Fuerza and Vertigo 100%, but I'll put like Josh falls under the Buffalo Boys category of he's had a bunch of good spots there, but I will specifically just put the moment of Josh versus Blackwood, which was an incredible match to watch live.
Yeah, I think Jody too. Jody's had some good stuff in Barrie, and she's really, gone to that next level too. And
she's proud to be a Barrie Wrestling representative.
Absolutely, she is. We got a run in from Lucy the Cat's tail here. Staple on.
No, that's the demon that abducted you before the recording.
All right. Let's talk some memorabilia here, guys. Let's talk.
What about Van? What's your?
Oh, sorry. What a terrible host I am. What a terrible host I am, Van. I apologize.
I've just been doing podcasts since 2012, so I
got distracted by Lucy the Cat here, and I just, that's my world right there.
We're all cat people. We're all cat owners.
Yeah, well, cat owners are the best owners.
So I have I love that you asked me this. So thank you for not forgetting me, and thank you for coming back to me.
I'll just go fuck myself. Sorry.
You started as a Barrie Wrestling fan. You actually had the fan perspective.
Thank you. So that's no secret. I've said it on every podcast I've done. I started as a fan. My start in wrestling is thanks to seminars that Barrie Wrestling offered that I only knew about because I was a fan already attending their shows. That's how I became a wrestler. Anyway, but prior to that, of course, I'm a fan. I got to see all of it happen. So when you talk about Barrie Wrestling, you talk about 10 years. One name that immediately comes to mind, failed to mention thus far, is longest reigning heavyweight champion, Mr. John Greed, and his impact in Barrie Wrestling, undoubtedly. As well as, this goes back even further, Mr. Riot Maker, but Patient 705. You can't go without Barrie Wrestling without him. Jody Thread is a great one, Tyler, that you mentioned.
Dirty Vets.
The Dirty Vets, the Flatliners, who just went into the Barrie Wrestling Hall of Fame, Tid and Uncle Custom, as well,
I'll give some credit to Royalty and Barrie. Shiloh and Kyle are doing an amazing job.
Yeah, they're so fun to work with.
They definitely wear crowns with pride.
Absolutely. Vertigo Fuerza, of course, you can't forget them. And then you've mentioned the royal family. It's so fun to see this new era of Barrie Wrestling with stars like myself and with Kyle and Shiloh. I'll even give Rajan Husher credit, even though I hate the guy. But you see,
ATO is building up a little reputation there. Julian Ward is killing it.
Yeah, Kaz Jordan, big fan of. I got to do some work with Kaz for the first time this weekend, and he was phenomenal. He stole my microphone. What an asshole.
Doesn't surprise me. Those guys are rude. But yeah, prior to his firing, Clay Wilson was a good hand in Barrie. Like, he was carving a name for himself. Sucks to see him go, but ATO is a great example, top tier talent. And yeah, like all these names mentioned helped pave what Barrie Wrestling has become. I remember I remember the days when there was 50 fans, and I've now got to witness it grow to what it currently is. Streaming monthly on IWTV, constantly selling out the shows, bringing in talent from all over now, and putting on these like super cards almost every month with these rooted storylines that only few promotions are telling the same level of stories that Barrie Wrestling tells. And we have fans in the UK that do review shows on us because they love the stories and they love what we're doing at Barrie Wrestling. And it's a very much a community effort.
I was thinking about this recently of how the glow up for the Barrie Wrestling graphics, because when it used to just be two wrestlers promo photos with the same versus photo in between the four layout of photos, like, and at the end of the day we're praising Barrie Wrestling because once again it comes down to the boss of Sean Gibson. And I even though I don't work for Barrie anymore and I don't wrestle, I talk to Sean all the time. We've had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations about such. And like I told him, it's like that was a great literally the text said you created something special in front of the fans and in the backstage area. Keep it up.
Yeah, and
That's on the nose.
He's really started to kind of like, I'm learning a lot from Sean, and I got to give a shout out to Diamond Jim, who's really taken me under his wing and given me such amazing pointers. Like just things
Brian and Shelly are definitely
Brian and
coached.
Shelly, and I was
They're
going to
Hall
say
of Fame
Alan,
material as well. If we're
100%. Shelly's my tag team partner, man. She's my rock at Barrie every month.
Yes.
I love Brian, and Brian, he's like capturing some of the most fun moments I'm having in my life. And I told him that I will go to Staples, once every couple months, and I'll get some pictures blown up of just things I think are cool, and I keep them. And if I have a child in the future, I'll share those moments with them, and that's thanks to Brian. And thanks to Alan and the team for getting this great footage that we have now too. I've gotten to show my ring announcing to people like Gary Michael Capetta and MLJ and GCW. Like Gary Michael Capetta was my favorite ring announcer next to Howard Finkel, of course, like growing up. Like Howard's the GOAT, but like to get feedback from Gary Michael Capetta because of this opportunity I've gotten through Barrie, through Alan, through Sean it's mind blowing to me.
Well, especially because you were a fan of old days Ontario wrestling. I'm so grateful, and yeah, I've recorded podcasts and like vlogs and such like that I have on hard drives of all that stuff. But I love that there's so many memories of my 20s that have been captured by such talented photographers and videographers. And like how many people, like, even if your hobby's paintballing, no one's really taking photos. If your hobby is building model airplanes, like you can show the work afterwards, but you don't have the candid photos and such like that. And you don't have the moments where you're like, oh yeah, that's where I hit him a little too hard and I had to ask, are you okay? And he said, give me a minute.
Yeah, like even for me, my family comes up, and watches shows. I have a nephew who, because of COVID and just restaurant work, I didn't get to meet him for like 3 years, right?
Wow.
And I finally met him a couple months ago. He came up to a Barrie show, and my cousin told me there are two photos that hang on his wall now, Van Landon and me. And because I've got a picture that Brian took announcing, like, and that's cool to me.
Well, look at that though. Of Barrie Wrestling is a promotion that you want your family to go to. And there's too many, I'll say pro wrestlers because we're talking about wrestling, but I always go to entertainment and such. There's so many people that cry and bitch and moan because their family doesn't come out. And the joke I have, and I'm not a wrestler, and I'm not avoiding heat in my 30s, I'm realizing recently. When I hear a lot of wrestlers complain about, oh, my friends and family don't come to my show, I'm like, I've seen you wrestle. You should be happy your friends and family don't come to the show. I haven't said it to them, but God damn it, I've thought it. But like that's the thing of Barrie Wrestling. There's nothing on that show that makes you go being embarrassed of wrestling or being embarrassed of what you're doing, especially in a position like you, because I've done some ring announcing. When a bad match happens, like, I'm not supposed to acknowledge it, but I'm also like, we all just experienced something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tough spot. I mean, I'm gonna talk really personal here for a minute too. At the beginning of this year, my stepfather passed away very suddenly.
Uh,
And you know, it's the unfortunate part of life and whatever. And I won't go into the whole story, but his favorite song was Mustang Sally. That was his all-time favorite song. And the first show, it must have been a week or two after he passed away, that Barrie did, I asked Shelly if she would play that song for me after intermission while I walked to the ring. And I was just making a joke with Jim in the back. I'm like, oh, I should do his little dance that he used to do. And Jim was like, you absolutely should do that if you feel it out there. And I did. I did the little, we call it the Dino Shuffle. And you know, I messaged Sean and he got me the footage and I got to send it to my family and we had like this nice bonding moment over it. And like that's something I hold near and dear to my heart. Anytime, like the last show, people asked me to sign a poster for them. And like it just touches my heart so much. Anytime anyone wants a high five from me, or like it just touches my heart so much because I just love it so much. You know what I mean? And I respect what you guys do so much. And just to be this much, you know, just a little baby toe into it. It just I can't thank, you know, Sean and Barrie Wrestling enough for giving me these moments and memories.
Dude, I found my dad dead a Sunday afternoon. Barrie was the next weekend. Everyone told me don't wrestle. I'm like, I need to wrestle. And I didn't wrestle as Holden Albright. I wrestled as Brendan William Caulfield, my real name. And I also like did some mark ass entrances of I'm forgetting like what the order was or what it was, but I definitely posed like Stone Cold and The Rock and maybe Triple H in the corners, and then I did a little Undertaker. And like I've told like I canceled a C4 day, which is a huge promotion, great super indie in Ottawa, 2 weeks after there because I was still processing. I had to defend a title in New Brunswick and I pulled off of that show of like that's how much Barrie meant to me that before I put my dad in the ground and I said the speech afterwards at that thing of my dad died 3 times. When I found him, the tribute I did in the ring that night because he was a wrestling fan, I came out and I left to 2 different Garth Brooks songs, so I could totally relate to the Mustang Sally situation. And I said the third times when I put him in the ground on Monday. And the people that were there were Grizz and Fuerza and Pretty Ricky. Pretty Ricky's an unsung hero. Pretty Ricky's so weird in the fact of he's like a great referee of you forget they're there until they need to be there. And yeah, his time in the light is more than the referees showing the spot, but it is that fact of the end of the last show, spoiler alert, but he's already posted on social media, Clay Wilson gets fired. There's a great moment between Ricky and Clay of 2 kids that trained with each other 10 plus years ago. And like those moments don't mean anything unless the environment makes it mean something. And Sean
100%.
Gibson, me and Van were talking about religion and not on a positive note about it. The most churches I've gone to in the last 10 years of my life is because of professional wrestling.
Me too.
And the fact of like there's 3 crosses that you can see from the ring at any given moment doesn't feel pushed upon anyone, and it's just a great environment to be in.
Yeah, and you did mention Pretty Ricky, and I do want to put him over. He will be on the show in 2 weeks. We have DDP next week, and then Pretty Ricky after that. So a couple big 3 big weeks in a row of counted out here. Well, 4.
You really got like you got like a thin slice of bread and then a big ass chunk of meat in the middle. This is very protein.
You know what though, we're rolling lately. I'm gonna put us over. We had Greg Gagne last week. We had you guys this week. We have DDP next week, and we have Pretty Ricky the week after. That's a string of great shows. I'm really proud of what we're doing.
You talked about me promoting something. If you're talking about Pretty Ricky, we know what he's gonna promote in 2 episodes, but there's someone here that's also gonna be on that thing. So
come see the Barn Burner Van Landon Brantford Wrestling. Please get your tickets now. I believe this is the second show that has taken place. Once one before, and the fans have wanted it. They're demanding it. They're bringing it back. So catch me at Brantford Wrestling. Check out Pretty Ricky on social media. Search Brantford Wrestling. Get yourself all the details.
Yeah, June the 7th. 6th? 7th.
Wait, when's
Friday.
Barrie?
He's June 8th is Barrie. He's June 7th. Don't worry,
Yeah,
I got you.
June
I got you,
7th.
Ricky. I got you, Ricky. And I'm also super excited because when we had Ricky on to promote the memorial show for your father, he told me that his favorite time period of wrestling is WWF 1991.
He
So
wasn't alive.
I don't. That's what he told me.
No, but
So
he is the oldest young man I know.
yes, absolutely he is. But finally, almost 2 years later, Pretty Ricky and myself are going to talk about WWF 1991
Woo!
after we promote this Brantford show. So I am very excited for that. And Ricky too, like you mentioned the end of that last show. Ricky is that guy and he can tug at your heartstrings with his facial expressions. Like I announced him and it was just off cuff because I don't think he knew I was going to do it. But in the ring, Shiloh said that from now on you are Richard instead of Ricky. And we didn't talk about it. And it was, I'll give the credit to Brad Myers again, just right in my ear before I did the announcement. Hey, you can announce him as Richard. And I was like, I think I should, right? He's like, I think you should too. And I did. And Ricky stopped and he gave me this look of, it was like this mixture of sadness and anger.
Yeah.
And I like it tugged at my heartstrings so much, and I apologized. I was like, "I'm sorry, Ricky." Like you know what I mean? But he got me so into that moment. I felt his pain, like that. I apologize in the ring to him for like the guy's an incredible performer, and he'll get a moment like that, and then he'll do a jingle all the way death match or put you in a sharpshooter in the middle of the road, like
Oh
and
my
down.
God.
You know what I mean? Like that guy is an all around. He's an all
Dude,
around great.
Puff broke his face, broke Pretty Ricky's face in that match. It's me and two comedy wrestlers beating the hell out of each other.
Check that out. I believe that's on the Barrie Wrestling YouTube page.
I believe there's our commentary with it too. Because like that match needed like 5 different filmographers. I got lost in an inflatable corn maze at one point.
That's wild stuff.
We definitely we got the cops called on us.
Oh,
I
you
don't think there
must.
was a hardcore match afterwards. I had a trend of street fights in Barrie during the Canada Day shows. That was the last one.
I think we're under strict orders before every Canada Day show now. I think we get the talk. Do not go on the road. Do not leave the ring. Do not. Yeah, I think we get the dad talk.
They did bring the ring closer to the center now, though. They
Fair.
did bring the ring close. The road near the ring is shut down now. Before, like, it used to be too close to the road by the river. It used to be in this weird corner area that, like, I would get drunk and walk down the streets going to the different bars there and see, like, one little pesky security guard trying to protect the ring. And I'm like, well, and he's trying to, like, big dog me, but, like a chihuahua. I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Those are fun shows. So those outdoor Barrie shows are super fun. All right, gentlemen, let's move on to the next topic here. Let's talk a little bit of memorabilia. We're all collectors in our own way here. I'm going to hone in specifically on the wrestling portion of the collecting right now. Let's start with Mr. Van on this one. What is your favorite piece of memorabilia that you currently own? Because we're going to talk about stuff that we wish that we could own. What is your favorite piece of memorabilia that you currently own?
Funny you say that. I have it right here. It would be probably this action figure set.
Nice.
So if you know Van Landon, you know that Van Landon is a big Cody Rhodes fan, Dustin Rhodes fan, Dusty Rhodes fan. You may know that Van's middle name is Rhodes, but that's off the record. And so
that's hard times, baby.
This match, it means a lot to me as a wrestling fan and as a fan of the whole Rhodes legacy. And so when this action figure set was commemorated, it was a no-brainer for me to make the purchase, obviously depicting the first AEW pay-per-view, which was Double or Nothing 2019, Cody versus Dustin, a match that should have happened at WrestleMania, but a match that happened in AEW, and they bled lots of blood, and that's why this is a bloody action figure from AEW Jazzwares, and this is my current favorite piece. I got it on display usually right behind me here, and so I had it ready to show you guys.
That's a sweet figure, man. I like that a lot. What about you there, Mr. Holden? What do you like?
The pandemic was real bad for me. I didn't lose work and I had Facebook Marketplace access. So I bought a lot of stuff. I've downsized quite a bit about some things. I did actually just look over at one of the figures that I did retain. One of my favorite collectibles is I do have a hardcore replica belt. It was used in Backyard Pro. Jody Thread has it somewhere, if not lost it somewhere. But I did see this, and there's a reason I left it here, and I realized I have to clean off the packaging. But Nakamura defining moments.
Oh, that's sick.
Because this depicted him versus Sami Zayn, and very much like the Rhodes Battle of the Brothers. I think the great thing about that match is it shouldn't have happened at WrestleMania, because that match was so much better with the build-up at AEW, with the I'm gonna kill the Attitude Era because we're being held to this high standard that doesn't exist, and then they bleed, and Dustin just cuts a little too deep, and it's just bloody as hell. And the match is not a perfect everything worked match, but then it ends with I don't need a friend, I need a brother.
Oh man, goosebumps.
Yeah,
and
big
what
time.
that meant, and I think it's still on like my Instagram as like a photo afterwards when I watched that pay-per-view of like, this is the perfect match. The flip side of that is because they had the bells and whistles, they had the story, and bells and whistles don't mean a bad thing. If you're gonna get a car, get the upgrades. It's okay. They had all that. Nakamura and Sami Zayn didn't. They just had two dudes that are gonna wrestle each other, and allegedly they never touched beforehand, and they called most of it in the ring. And I actually rewatched it back recently.
Oh, it's
and
good.
It's well, what's funny is during the entrance, Nakamura doesn't know his beats yet. So like he's not going to the music, and that music has become so legendary.
Yeah.
And then I looked up when he got drafted to SmackDown, and he has a violinist there, and he's really feeling it with the Miz and Maurice dressed as Nikki Bella and John Cena. And like there's a reason I kept this specific one. And what I think any like action figure is, it's a piece of artwork. Like even like there's a movie poster behind me. But like when you look at it, you should be able to be brought back to a moment of childhood bliss or a good memory or something like that. It's not just supposed to be, this is whatever, or it is cool interactive artwork.
Yep.
That kind of goes hand in hand with one of my favorite pieces of memorabilia, which I don't have around me, but it is one of my favorite matches of all time is the original War Games match.
Yes.
And I have the official event program from the original War Games match. So that is definitely, and that was a Facebook Marketplace COVID purchase as well, which I think I drove almost to Brampton to get it from Newmarket. I was just like, I'm going right now. Like, fiance, get in the car. Well, girlfriend at the time, get in the car. We're going for a road trip. She's like, you're buying a magazine? I'm like, I don't expect you to understand this, but we have to go right now.
I will say this because you mentioned Brampton and whatever, and I don't care about getting heat, especially if you're a wrestling fan. So I have a kind of a rule, like if you haven't seen me smoking a joint and a cigar, we're not really that close of friends, and especially if we've never been to dinner. If you've never seen me cry laughing at something while probably a little not sober, we're not that close, because it's not that hard to make me cry laugh, so it's a good baseline. But especially if you're just a fan, don't fucking message me to pick up something that you see that's for free on Facebook Marketplace because it happens to be in the same city I live in. Like, I got, like, this person told someone else, like, oh yeah, he was an asshole because he did. What? Why are you expecting someone that you even barely know to pick up something for free?
Yeah.
I'm in a better headspace now than I was in March, though. Like,
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous that even happens.
Next time you're in Brampton, though, send me a message. Let's grab a coffee.
I'm in. I don't come that way very often, and so unless there's another War Games program kicking around, but
no, there's just War Games in
there's
Brampton
just
right
war,
now.
exactly. That's the shoot version.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. So let's talk about what's a holy grail piece then that you wish that you could own. And Holden, I'm going to start with you on this one because you got me you piqued my interest. This was your idea to come up with this. We talked very quickly. This podcast came together in about 4 seconds at the end of the Barrie show. And so now you've got my interest. You have me thinking ever since Saturday, what has this guy got on his plate?
So originally we were going to do a top 7 list so we could break it down into shorts. Those are things you guys don't need to know about. But I had one idea. When I scheduled this in my calendar for the podcast recording, I knew what my number 1 was. And a few days later happens, I got nothing else. A few hours before this podcast, I thought of something. I will say honorable mention about random memorabilia that if someone offered it to me, I would buy it. Is if anyone ever sold like black ring used Attitude Era steel steps.
Yeah, that's
Like if that was
cool.
ever just randomly for sale and it's like scuffed up and stuff, like it's a black aluminum, I'm definitely buying that. Because I even loved it for the action figure toy for it. Like if someone gave me that where it has the edges and the round a bit, like it's gonna be a weird. So also another weird thing, my dad bought a bag of potato chips Doritos before he died. He didn't eat it, got left in his truck. That thing's on the shelf over here. So like I got like some weird stuff. I would love those stuff. Like, why do you have this stuff? Attitude Era, Monday Night Raw. Boo. But the number one thing that made me think about it, and I know it's real, and I've seen it on WWE's Most Wanted Treasures, is there is a ring use authenticated signed Stone Cold knee brace. And I think
That's
like they even
cool.
know what match it's from, and he signed it to Dave Milliken, I believe, for the belts. Uh, that would be my like set up because I'm a Stone Cold mark.
Yeah.
I have a smoking skull and rattlesnake on my thigh. Luckily, it doesn't say Austin 316, so it's not too marky. But like that would be Timmy Turner's dad from Fairly Odd Parents having the room with the one little like pedestal of just that white column, like it's in a Greek museum of just that knee brace there. And every time
Yeah.
you open up the door, disturbed place.
And then you once the serve plays, you would run into your steps Attitude Era style and try to cane
Oh my
bump them, right?
god! No, I
Did
take my
you
own head bump.
I did think about putting an Austin vest on my list, like a signed Stone Cold vest. But have
Any
you
which one you'd prefer?
probably like 316 era, like
I
97,
want
98.
BMF. I
That's a
want
good one
BMF
too.
on it.
Have you seen what's hanging in the restaurant, the Bret Hart restaurant in Calgary, though?
No.
Is
It
it a
is
Calgary Hitman jersey signed?
no, this is Stone Cold related. It's
Oh,
it's a long, like big frame thing from WrestleMania 13. It's a autographed 8x10 of Bret holding Austin, the sharpshooter, which Steve Austin has written a huge note on, and it's got the blade that they used framed in
Wow.
it as well. It's on Instagram. I will try to
Oh
find you the
my
picture
God.
and send it to you. It's a whole, and I don't know if there's a piece of ring rope or not. I might be making that part up, but I know the blade is in there, and it's this incredibly beautiful framed, handwritten letter. That is
I
definitely
have the Brett Stone Cold Battle Pack 2-pack that I actually got from Brady.
that's one of my favorite
That's over
feuds of
there
all
too as
time.
one of my dude. I also love like not enough people mention it. There's so many different commentary tracks of that match that you can find, including like Stone Cold watching it. But like the fact that Brett accidentally blades Austin's tricep first.
I'm gonna try to find it. Van, you tell us what is your holy grail item, and I'm gonna try to find that and I will message it to you guys.
so
That's
I
crazy.
I mean, for me, I am a huge wrestling memorabilia collector, and particularly in the action figure space. However, I do have a huge collection of wrestling VHSs, wrestling video games, wrestling magazines, both vintage and modern. Even I have like a thing of 8x10s with some pretty cool autographs on it. Um, and yeah, so for me, I try to think of what's something that I don't have. What's something that would be unique in a collection, especially, I mean, if you're watching the video, you see I have a pretty cool setup. And for me, Van Landon, but more importantly, the man behind Van Landon is a big wrestling fan, a big monster truck fan. And actually, back in the day, Monster Jam, the sort of the WWE of monster trucks, used to have a working partnership with WCW, which led to the creation of three monster trucks that ran on their circuit: the Nitro Machine, the NWO, and as well as a Sting monster truck. And actually, there's one more, Goldberg. And so for whatever it's worth, I think a really cool piece of technical wrestling memorabilia that would also be Monster Jam history memorabilia would be and I have seen it out there, so I know this is real. There is fiberglass from the bodies of the monster trucks from the Monster Jam World Finals 1, aka the WrestleMania 1. It would be the equivalent from the Sting monster truck. Which
That's
was a
cool.
full sort of piece. You could easily identify it as that monster truck. There's even old developed photos from the wreck, so you could see the body all smashed up on it and stuff. And I think that truly would be my dream piece. I would drive across the US border to pick that up from wherever that would need to be. That would be a hard one to ship. The
That's
big piece of
cool.
fiberglass.
That's
Yeah.
super cool, man. I had a couple honorable mentions. I think it would be really cool to have an Undertaker urn.
Oh yeah.
Like, like the
Like
old
ring
school,
use.
like ring used Paul
Yeah.
Bearer Undertaker
Do
urn.
you have a preferred which one?
The original. I like the OG.
See,
The
I like the
90s.
absurd.
Like
I would want the big ass
the big one
that
with the
had the light
flashlight.
shoot out in it. Yeah.
I think it would
Imagine
be
pulling that out and blinding someone.
that
You
would
ever
be
see the videos of people buy like the powerful flashlights off Amazon and fuck up their friends?
Yes, I have seen those. Those are absolutely hilarious. I would also think it would be really cool to have a pair of Andre the Giant's boots.
Jesus.
Whoa.
Because I like the old school.
You don't have to tell anyone what that is.
No.
No,
They would
you
be
just
Tall
know.
as it's the biggest hooker's boots.
This was from
Actually,
a great
Hooker
Wednesday
does-
night.
Hooker actually does still kind of fit for Andre.
And I tore it. I couldn't pick between two, so I'm going to cheat and I'm going to pick two. The original sign that Conrad Thompson owns from the ECW arena, the ECW bingo one. I would love to have that hanging in an office, but I think I got to go with a Ric Flair robe. I want a Ric Flair robe.
Oh yeah.
Or a Bret Hart leather jacket. I'm going to go with the black and white butterfly one, I think.
That's the one that's like gone missing a couple
That's
times,
the one that
right?
went missing. Yeah, they found it recently, I think. But I think that one, I'd be happy with anyone. I was a big Flair mark, but I'm a big Bret Hart guy too. Like I just found this picture online, but I just don't trust it. I don't know much about signed by superstars, so I don't know if I trust to buy from them or not. But it's a picture of the new Hart Foundation. So it's TJ, Davey Boy, Pillman Jr., Natty, and then they're with the cardboard cutout of Bret. I don't know if you've seen that or not. And it's signed by all of them, including Bret. And I really want to get that because that's my podcasting goal is to interview the next generation Hart Foundation. And we've interviewed TJ and we've interviewed Pillman Jr. And Natty followed me on Twitter. So that could be hey, Natty. But that's my podcasting goal is to interview Natty, Bret, and Davey Boy Jr. to get the new foundation. So I might just splurge and buy that one. A little wedding gift to myself. We'll see.
Oh yeah.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. And that's what I got. Now, gentlemen, I could sit here and talk to you guys for hours, but Mike and I have been trying to be good at keeping our shows at a reasonable time, and we're going Broadway here. So before I let you go, first of all, thank you both for joining me today. This was a blast. I feel like we just started.
Yeah.
And it was nice to catch up with both of you at the same time, not on a show day, and especially with you, Holden. I haven't seen or talked to you in a few months, so and I didn't get
And
to
I'm
talk to you a lot,
happier
Barry.
now. I need
And
to
you're-
reiterate. I am so much happier now than I was in March and April. Okay?
And you look fantastic too. It shows. It's not just like I believe you when you say that. You know, like there's some people are like, yeah, I'm good. I believe you when you say it. I can see it in your face.
This is why I'm saying it. So many fucking people told me on Saturday that like I look good and like they're talking about my energy. And I was just laughing and having a good time just hanging out. Especially I was watching with Nathan and Carew, the show. And it was just fun. It's just like I'm acknowledging how much happier I was because I didn't even realize until Monday when everyone was telling me about how cool Saturday was. How miserable I was in March. I need to reiterate of how miserable I was to how happy I am now. And chatting with you guys is fucking great.
Yeah, I'm really happy we did this. And of course, Van, pleasure again. Thank you, by the way. I'm doing this thing where I'm getting people that I've enjoyed working with or people that I consider my friends in the business to sign pictures for me now. And I'm going to display them when I finish my basement. And I finally got around to reading the message that you wrote for me on the picture. And I appreciate that. That was very nice of you. Thank you very much for that. Anything you guys want to plug before we
have an announcement?
Yes. Oh, that's right. Yes, let's get to that. I had that in my head. I was going to segue to that about 45 minutes ago, and then we went in a total different direction, and I was like, you know what? But yeah, make your announcement. This is awesome.
I was gonna say I don't remember because it's like, oh, this conversation, I feel like we jumped again. I don't remember most of the stuff we talked about already. Especially because we ended on such it's one of those a 5-minute conversation with a horrible person gonna feel like hours. You could spend hours talking and hanging out with your friends over a bonfire and realize it's 4 a.m. and you just had a good time. And speaking of good times and talking for hours, starting next month, literally me and Van talked about this 3 hours ago. Starting next month, so me and Van hosted a Twitch stream for a little while. We are finalizing details, but the borderline just framework is every day, sometime starting next month, there will be a Van and Holden in the morning show that you can look forward to 6 a.m. Eastern on your podcast feeds.
I love that. And I can't wait because I start work at 7 a.m. So that's perfect timing for me.
And they're going to be short snippet episodes, and you will get a full bonus-filled episode on your Sunday. You got the major pod that does Saturday morning cartoons. We're going to give you a nice little Sunday breather of, especially if you don't go to church, let us be your church.
I love it. YouTube sucks on a Sunday, so yeah, that'll fill your feed. Yeah,
dude, I hate the holidays. It screws up the schedule for everything, and then there's Canadian holidays and American holidays. Christmas sucks on YouTube.
You fans demanded it. Van and Holden is coming back. We hear you. We know we've been gone, but since you've been gone, we've been planning this. So it's not just this past 3 hours. We've been planning this. We're coming back.
I love it. And to anyone listening to this, leave a comment down below. What is your holy grail of wrestling memorabilia that you either own or you would like to own? Let us know, and maybe we'll respond to you.
I will.
Put it in your Instagram stories and tag us. We'll retweet it.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate the retweeting. Very nice of you guys. I guess
we're fucking professionals, goddammit.
You guys are professionals, and I'd like to consider you friends.
Twitter's free, jackass.
Guys, this was a blast. I cannot thank you enough. On behalf of Holden Albright, Van Landon, and of course, as always, Mike and Cottage Springs, you have been counted out.